welcome to the Aces of Ventures. As we usually we start by talking about our project, the Aces of Ventures, for everyone to know what's this global entrepreneurship accelerator. And I would like you to also join our Discord during this session, so you get more value from this training and from this community. For the Aces of Ventures, it's a global decentralized entrepreneurship accelerator. We started it, me and my partner, co-founder, Robert, who's also part of this community. When we started this, we wanted to empower entrepreneurs because that's what we do. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm also training entrepreneurs and business owners. I started in 2008, and for the past 14 years, I worked with entrepreneurs and business owners in 53 countries. So Robert is a serial entrepreneur. He also started his business with me in one of the programs back in 2015. He has 6 businesses in his portfolio. Knowing about business, we came to the NFT world and the Web3 world with the Aces of Ventures. And why Aces? Because we are looking for those who ace what they do, the winners, the successful people, the achievers, the challengers. And we call them Aces of Ventures. And because we know in the business world and in the entrepreneurship journey, we always take risks. That's why we thought the cards are the perfect illustration of taking risks, knowing when to play your card, when to burn your card. And that's how we started with the Jack. The Jack is the one who will pitch. And this week we have a pitching competition. The Queen is the one who asks the questions whenever someone is pitching. And the Queen and the King will be those who are voting for the Jack to submit their pitches to the community. And every week we have 5 finalists, those who will be pitching to the community, and the community will be voting who's the #1 winner who will take the prize. I will talk about the prize in a few. As I mentioned, me and Robert, we are the co-founders of this global decentralized entrepreneurship accelerator, and we have an amazing team of more than 20 individuals working on different parts of this project. The challenge and our promise is to give $1 million to 100 entrepreneurs. And these entrepreneurs are joining our community to benefit from the 100 speakers who are coming from more than 50 countries to deliver workshops. And we already delivered many workshops. During our roadmap, we have the burning pit when we start using the NFT, when we launch the NFTs, where you burn your card, you burn your NFT to get perks like an iPhone, like a trip, like many rewards that we will be giving to the community, especially those who are not in it for pitching. So we are also thinking about them and giving them more value by offering these gifts. Card holding, also, when you hold your card, which is staking an NFT, you also get deals and offers from our sponsors. And for me, my best milestone is when we start launching our tokens and people can fuse 2 similar cards, like the 5 of spades, for example, 2 cards of 5 of spades, you can fuse them to generate tokens every month. And also you unlock special perks. For example, also one of my favorite perks, accessing more than 1,300 airport lounges worldwide. We also look for partnerships for anyone who's willing to give us any offer or gift or voucher to our community. And we already started with many. One of them started with us with 30 vouchers of $30, which is like forex exchange for people who love trading. That's the Aces of Ventures in a nutshell. And today we are training the community and we are training the entrepreneurs on pitching. That's the pitching workshop that will help those who are pitching on Wednesday to deliver a better pitch. In addition, tomorrow we will have a session where we will see the pitches of those who are competing and giving them our feedback and how to improve. And to tell you a little bit, I've been training on pitching for the past 12 years. For example, this week I'm training 28 entrepreneurs on pitching. Next week, 43 entrepreneurs on pitching. That's what I love to do, and I'm doing it with all the accelerators and incubators, programs, and challenges in the region. What I'm giving you today in 1 hour is the most essential part, which is the components of your pitch. I want you to know what are the main components for a winning pitch. Tomorrow, when I start watching your pitches, especially those who are pitching on Wednesday, I will be giving you additional tips. I will be giving you additional comments and lessons to improve your pitch. So consider today is the most essential part, and tomorrow you will have many add-ons, especially when I speak about the mindset of pitching, the neuroscience of pitching, the psychology of pitching, and also tackle a little bit of the design and slide components in your pitch, which is tomorrow when I see your pitches. Now I will start with one of the pitches that I like. It's not a PowerPoint pitch, it's a video pitch, but I would like to convey a message from this pitch that you will know once you watch it. Once I'm done with this pitch, I would like you to comment in the chat box on Zoom, or if you are watching on YouTube, what are the insights that you can take from this pitch? Let's watch it together.
فروز فروز عم تفرز.
We say it, we hear it, but why don't we do it? The answer is, we are not engaged. In the past 2 years, we interacted with 1,000 millennials, and turns out that having something convenient, feeling part of a community, and seeing the impact we've made engages us to reduce waste. And this is where Froze comes in, a community platform that engages millennials through convenient activities, tracks how much waste they've reduced, and rewards them for it. What kind of activities? Your habits. We started with Run Froze at the Beirut Marathon with 70 runners and picked up 8,000 plastic bottles. It was so cool, we got the Best Activation Award. We then tapped into other habits. Are you a hiker? Hike Nifroz. Like to party? Dance Froze. Now if you shop, shop on Froze. It's an e-commerce platform giving you access to many eco-friendly products, highlighting each product's impact. Meet Therese.
Hi.
All the impact she has made in these activities is tracked, shown on her froze.me profile, and compared to others in the community. And get this, the more she reduces waste, the more she gets rewarded with things she likes. We're tapping into a $9 million market and making our profit through a combination of B2B and B2C. Our profit margin is a 20% commission from merchants selling on our platform and 80% from our own products, like these froze pads. They were 100% cotton, chemical-free, saves you money, and as soft as Ray's head. During Impact Rise, we got validated through a survey of 900 and onboarded 2 sellers as our advisors. After the blast, we adapted. We helped recycle 90 tons of Beirut's glass. We partnered with Afrojoie to set up our Mdawar sorting station and collaborated with one local manufacturer to develop our froze pads. In October, we signed MOUs with 7 sellers and sold 130 of their products just through Instagram. So far, we avoided 95 tons of waste. We're targeting 12 new merchants and 400 customers in the next 2 quarters. And to achieve this milestone, we're asking for $50,000. So hop on the Froze train, because we've got game.
Great. So before we continue, I would like to know in the chat box, what are your insights? What can you learn from this pitch? And always keep in mind, whenever you watch anything, especially a pitch, think about two questions. What can I learn from this, and how can this apply to me? Regardless of the industry, regardless of the stage of the entrepreneur, regardless of the business model or the way, for example, here it's a video and you might be doing your PowerPoint, always think, what can I learn from this pitch and how can this apply to me? I would like to know from you in the chat box, what can you learn from this? I see Mr. Kasser said he started with a hook. That's very important. I'll be speaking about it. Anwar said, I like how in the pitch he presents a problem first, then gives a solution through his business. If you have more comments, please write it in the chat. And now I have a question for you. Actually, many questions for you. Get ready on the chat to answer me. If I meet one of you, for example, in any event, hopefully face-to-face, and I ask you, hello, how are you doing? How's business? How's work? How's your health? And how's family? What's your answer usually? While waiting for your answers, we have many comments in the chat. Mr. Kasser said, relatable point. Yes, of course. Iman, keep it fun, keep it light. For this startup, when I was training this startup on their pitch, they came with a very formal and very boring PowerPoint. And it was like, the problem is 1, 2, 3. So we found the solution 4, 5, 6, and the market size is big, which is like this, and so on. And I said, guys, you unlocked the way of engaging millennials to sort their waste. And this is the biggest problem for anyone who's helping or creating awareness for people to sort their waste. Why are you doing it this formal, this boring way? They said, because when we got the template for pitching, it was mentioning problem, solution, market size, and so on. One comment for all of you, you don't have to stick, because one of you just mentioned, Anwar said, they mentioned the problem, then the solution. You don't have to stick to the order of the slides or the components. You need to create a storyline. And when I say storyline, it's not about having a story with a hero and the avatar and so on. No, it's about connecting all your components in a way that flows easily on your audience without having bumps. And when I say bumps, I mean, don't just talk about each slide alone without connecting them. As I mentioned, the problem is, the solution is, and so on. Let's continue. So for this startup, yes, I was saying, for this startup, I told them, because in your culture and your values, you have the humor, you have the fun, please include it in your pitch. And this was obvious in this pitch, and it was good. Mr. Worldwide, he is determined to accomplish his goal. Use the 3-point trick. Good. So Mr. Kasser have enough information about that. Number three is very important. I call it the magic number 3, because whenever you are speaking about many features, about many problems, many strategies, many points, mention 3. 3 is the number that will help your audience remember what you mentioned. Bara, grab attention. Who are we? What we do? What makes us stand out? How can you help us? Why you have to support us, our team? What will you get? Yeah, of course. These are the points. It was fun. Khaldoon, they have a strong call to action. Call to action is also important, especially when they use the Beirut explosion and all these activities that make their idea validated and a great solution. Okay. Now I see answers for my questions. When I meet someone and I ask you, how are you doing? How's your family? How's business? How's work? The answer is usually, as I'm reading now, good, all good, good. And the answer is one question. Although I ask many questions, why the answer is one question? Because in our brain, and this is something you need to know, your audience have the same structure of their brain like you do. In our brain, we have the amygdala, and the amygdala It's part of our brain. You don't have to remember the name of the amygdala, but you need to remember the function of it. It's responsible for the fight, flight, and freeze responses in our brain. So whenever we see or we listen to patterns or cliches, the amygdala blocks them. And when it blocks the message, it means your audience will stop analyzing what you are saying in your pitch. That's why we start with a teaser. We start with a teaser. I'm showing you here the components of the pitch. We start with a teaser. And a teaser can be anything, because people think that the teaser should be a question, the teaser should be a fact or a number. It can be anything. But the most important factor or description of the teaser is any piece of information that will drive the curiosity of your audience. It will bypass the amygdala to reach the neocortex brain, which is the analytical brain, that will start analyzing what you're saying. Another question, and I would like you to answer in the chat. How many of you, whenever you need to take a vitamin, you forget to take your vitamins? Who forget to take their vitamins? So you usually put it next to water, your mobile, you put an alarm or anything. Aisha said me, Mr. Kasser almost every time. And I believe most of us forget to take their vitamins. But who forgets to take their painkillers? You have pain, toothache, and you cannot sleep, and you forget to take your painkillers. I see Mr. Kasser said no one. And I don't think someone will forget to take their painkillers if they can't sleep, because the pain will drive you to go take your painkillers. And that's why whenever you are pitching your business, I want you to highlight the pain. And when I say highlight the pain, it means show us who are the target audience suffering from this pain. Tell us how did you discover this pain, maybe if it's not obvious. Tell us who is the niche suffering from this pain, because many people pitch their ideas as if their product or service is for everyone. Bad news, it's not for everyone. Highlight the pain, highlight who has the pain. So when you talk about your product or service, it shows as a painkiller. And after you highlight your solution, you show us what we call the money cut. What is the money cut? The money cut is, it can be a photo, it can be a video, it can be a screenshot, it can be the wireframe of your app or website. It can be a trial that you have done and you can show us the trial. It means show me that you went from having an idea to taking action. Taking action. It means you went and validated your idea. If you didn't start selling yet, I'm talking about the idea phase people. If you are in the idea phase, show us what prototypes you have created, even if they didn't work yet, even if you don't have them designed aesthetically in a good way. Maybe you are creating a piece of electronics and all the wires are out of the PCB boards and so on. It's fine, but show us that you went from idea to taking action in the idea phase. In the prototype phase, of course, you need to show the prototype, how many trials, the process that you went through. If you are in the growth stage, of course, show us your product, show us a video or the photos of what you have done so far. So that's for the product and service. Money shot is when you show it to us. And as you can see, I'm showing you all of these components in a mind map, because I don't want you to keep in mind the order. I want you to just identify the components that you need in your pitch. Later on, when you create your story, you can shuffle them as you wish. The simple statement, some people call it the elevator pitch. I don't write elevator pitch here, because the elevator pitch is usually the 30 seconds to talk about your business idea. Here we just want one sentence or two sentences describing your product or service or what you do. For example, one of the things I like, I trained someone who created pet taxi, which is easily described as Uber for pets. Very simple. You will see many pictures in a few, and I will send you also a playlist on YouTube where you can watch many pictures and learn from them. The simple statement, for example, one of the people was working in the water treatment industry. He said, if you combine IKEA and water treatment, you get Cubex. And this is very simple because the way it functions, it's the same. Another component is the market size. And when I say market size, I know that many people live in countries where they don't have enough data. Or even if they live in a country where there is enough data, maybe their industry or their innovation, they don't have enough research to mention the market size. I just want you to highlight the opportunity. And when I say the opportunity, it can be any research, any number, any discovery, any news, maybe headlines that show your product or your service has an opportunity to grow in the market. When I say market size, it means first, market size is in dollars, so it's money. It's not the number of people. It's the number of people times the cost or the price of your product or service. For example, that's the market size. If you don't have the market size, highlight the opportunity. For example, on Saturday, I was training a team of entrepreneurs, and I mentioned, if you don't have the market size, you can go to, and you can go partner with a university, for example, a hospital and a big chain of restaurants. They are dealing something with food. And if these three entities give you a letter of intent, and this is important, a letter of intent, it means a letter showing the intention of your client to buy from you whenever you launch your product. And this shows that you took action, and this shows also validation for your product and service. I said, if you went to this university, hospital, or chain of restaurants, either one, and get a letter of intent, you can calculate the average of demand from these entities. For example, if I partnered with 3 universities, I say the opportunity from partnering with these 3 universities will result in a demand of, for example, $300,000 a year. If I'm starting here and I'm still in the idea, it means I have an opportunity and I already validated my business. Another component is the business model. And when I say business model, some people have worked on the business model canvas, this 9-block canvas. If you don't know about it, please go and search for it. By the way, I have included it in the Startup Talk channel. You can go and download it. But when I talk about the business model in a pitch, it means your revenue model. How are you generating revenue in a pitch, in a business, sorry. But you show it in your pitch. And it can be a subscription, it can be renting, leasing, transactional, contractual, B2B, B2C. Many business models can be in your revenue stream. All clear? Let me see some thumbs up or in the chat. All good? Okay. I have a very important component now. And this component, I can tell you it's one of the most important components that you include in a pitch for attracting investors. And I would like to engage people on Discord. So we have 16 people here. I want you to go on the general chat on our Discord server. And if you are not part of our Discord yet, shame on you. I will write it here. I will write the link in the chat. I want you to go on Discord and say, and just mention that now Andre will be talking about what investors, in your own words, okay? Andre will be talking about what investors are looking in a pitch or in a business, in your own way. You can say, I'm waiting for what investors are looking in a pitch, anything. I want 4 people or 5 people. I like, my number is 5 usually. My lucky number is 5. I want 5 people in the chat to say that now Andre will be talking about what investors are looking for in a pitch. Okay, Mr. Kasser, done. Kiman, also done. Who else? That's 2. We still need 3 to continue. Okay, we have Bara also. That's 3, and Khaldoon, that's 4. We still want 1. And that's Anwar. Great. So for those who are missing it, join us on. I will share the event again in the chat. Thank you for all those who wrote it. I will give you an additional cookie. Let me take a screenshot. So Mr. Kasser, Kiman, Bara, Khaldoon, and Anwar, you've got yourself a cookie. I'll have to keep it somewhere. Give me a moment. Okay, you've got yourself a cookie. Let's continue then. What investors are looking for in a pitch. And I assure you, I've been working with investors for the past 10 years. This is something that is very special to the investors. It's called the unfair advantage. I will explain the unfair advantage. I will also explain the difference between the unfair advantage and the competitive advantage, because many people confuse what are these two about. And if you were trained by anyone who tells you that the unfair advantage is the same as competitive advantage, please run away, don't continue the training, claim your money back. You are not working with a professional. Okay. Unfair advantage. It's an advantage that you have in your business that makes it hard for your competitor to copy you or to move at your speed. If you have this advantage, competitors will find it hard to copy you or will find it hard to move at your speed. Some examples of unfair advantage, it can be a patent, it can be a very unique skill and experience that you have in your team members. And I'll give an example. For example, if you have a business owner who exited a company and is joining your company, so who sold a company for a big number and who joined your company, this can be an unfair advantage for people who are trying to start a new business to copy you. Access to raw materials, for example, that no one has access to, or very few. Exclusive partnership with channels that can help you reach your target audience. That's also an unfair advantage. And I will give some examples here. Do you know an application called Anghami? If you are not in the Arab world, you know Spotify. So Anghami, it's the Spotify of the Arab region. when Anghami was launching in, when Deezer, the competitor of Anghami, was launching in the Lebanese market, Kiman said, my unfair advantage is aces of ventures. Thank you, Kiman. I like that. When Deezer, the competitor of Anghami, was launching in the Lebanese market, we were checking their ads on YouTube, radio channels, billboards, traditional media. But during that time, Anghami was able to send us every week 1 or 2 offers from the telecom companies, sending an SMS with download Anghami, get a pro package for free. Download Anghami, get 3 months of subscription for free. Download Anghami, you get 2 GB of data for free. They were giving us incentives to download Anghami, but the most important part, they were sending SMS, which means they covered all the Lebanese territory. Deezer were not able to do this. Why? Because Anghami had an unfair advantage, which is the exclusive partnership with the telecom companies to reach the audience. This is an unfair advantage. And this will make it hard for their competitors to enter the market or to move at their speed. That's the first example. But if anyone here downloaded Anghami, okay, someone said, I know Anghami, Mr. Kafir. If Mr. Kafir downloaded Anghami, I'm sure you did not download it, or even you did not find it appealing because they have exclusive partnership with Alpha and Touch. You don't care. And most of the people, when I tell them the story, they don't even know that this exists, this exclusive partnership. That's why this is not a competitive advantage. Now, talking about competitive advantage, it's the advantage that you have that lets your customers choose you instead of your competitors. So what's the advantage that you have that makes your client choose you instead of going to the competitors? Sometimes it can be, for example, we open during weekends and no one of our competitors open during weekends. Very simple. It can be an additional feature that you have in your product or service that others doesn't have. This is a competitive advantage. And I'll give another example where to show you also that sometimes the competitive advantage can be an unfair advantage, but this doesn't mean that they are similar. It's not similar. So whenever you buy a bottle of water in the market, in Lebanon here, I'm talking about the Lebanese market for a few, but this can apply to any market. In our market, we have a brand called Sannin. And on the label of Sannin, if any of you has I don't have one here, but if any of you has a bottle of water which is Sannin, you can see a red label, a red tag on the label where is written 0% nitrat. 0% nitrat. And when we say 0% nitrat on a red label, it means it's something that we want people to see. And also we are proud of it. So basically Sannin, by doing the research on their water and lab tests and so on, they discovered that they are the only Lebanese water that has 0% nitrat. And they have put it on the label. Many people who are living in Lebanon, and I've been saying this for the past 10 years, they don't even know why this is written on Sannin, and who cares? And here I want to tell you the real thing about Sannin. There are 4 target audience. You remember, you always highlight the niche who have the pain, and then you show the painkiller. There are 4 target audience who want to drink Sannin because their doctor tells them drink Sannin, it has 0% nitrat. Those who have cancer in their colon, the woman who is pregnant, and those who have problem in their kidneys. You know, there's the stones and the sand in the kidneys. These four target audience. So many people are drinking Sunil just because they are drinking Sunil, but these four target audiences, their doctor tells them you need to drink Sunil because it has 0% nitrat and it will not damage you or it will not hurt you. And that's a competitive advantage. At the same time, it is an unfair advantage because their competition, it's not feasible for them to remove the nitrate from the water. So they cannot imitate them. Is this clear? I hope it's clear. You can write me in the chat. In addition, when you are talking about competition, you have many ways of showing the competition. One of them is using the moon chart. So I will show you a pitch now. And when you see this pitch, I want you to identify many learning points, especially the slides, how they are designed, and the storyline of this pitch. And the competition because they use the moon chart.
What do you think is the worst kind of plastic? Well, it's styrofoam. In fact, only 1% of the 14 million tons of styrofoam produced yearly are recycled. The rest stays untouched, causing threats on human health and the environment. As a result, governments are endorsing bans and restrictions on styrofoam, disrupting normal shipping procedures and forcing businesses to find an alternative solution. This is the house to form mushtik, mushroom plastic, a replacement for this styrofoam. Not only does our product share the same properties in terms of heat and water tolerance and shock resistance, it is also 100% biodegradable. The pictures you see here show the evolution of our prototypes, which keep improving day after day. Now, the styrofoam market in the MENA region is valued at $2.29 billion. However, we will start by tackling 19% of this market, which is used for packaging applications. Mushtik will start by selling two standardized products, the panels and packing peanuts, to businesses such as shipping and moving companies and distributors. After demonstrating our prototypes to several potential clients, we have signed letters of intent who found a need satisfied by mushtik. For example, Aramex was having troubles with the growing styrofoam bans, while Tu'anai Lebanese Wine wanted a better material to protect the quality of his wine. What makes us special is that we are the first movers in the MENA region. Both our process and raw material are all natural, and that our end product can be customizable, all the while being biodegradable. Regionally, mushtik is competing with conventional packaging, such as styrofoam and cardboard, compared to which we have more shock resistance and more eco-friendliness. Compared to our direct American competitors, we will be entering a different market with different products, the panels and peanuts. The environmental heroes behind all this work are Lama, who is leading the R&D, Sherbil, who focuses on business development, and myself, Ryan, in charge of operations. Our team is also being supported in terms of industrial technology, finance, R&D, and business. Together, so far, we have invested $57,000 for market and product validation, setup of our website, and basic equipment for our process. Today, we are looking to raise $100,000 to finalize our product, test and certify it, and start producing our first batch for our confirmed potential partners. So please, join us at our booth to discover more about all this mushroom-based packaging and know how to protect your product while protecting the environment. Thank you.
I already see many lessons wrote in the chat. If you have other insights, please write them in the chat. So Shofu said, great start from the teaser to the problem. Khaldun, prototype, then the market size, perfect pitch. Mr. Carter, they know their target. Khaldun, what makes us special, the competitive advantage, and the moon chart. Kiman, perhaps the team is the unfair advantage. Here, it's not the unfair advantage. That's why, and this is a tip for all of you, if your team is not highly qualified in the business and you already created the prototype like here, make sure you have advisors who are on your team. And as you saw in this pitch, they started with the team and they said we are supported with advisors, and advisors will add more credibility to the team. The call to action, yes, and simple, protect your product while protecting the environment. Advisors are the unfair advantage. I don't want you to emphasize this much on the unfair advantage, seeing it in everywhere. No, the advisors are not the unfair advantage, but they can add, some credibility. For the moon chart, I need to show you the moon chart here. Okay, if you see the moon chart here, their logo is on the top right. And why do we put the logo on the top right? Because when you're reading from left to right, people are reading from left to right, so they will remember your logo at the end. And also, if you have visually, just imagine two axes when you are comparing with competitors. On the top right, it means they are the best. The moon chart, when you have variables that have a range of comparison, for example, from 1 to 5, you don't want to write 1 over 5, 2 over 5, 3 over 5. People, they are not able to read it this fast. We use the moon chart, for example, here, the empty circle is, you can think about it as 1 over 5. The quarter of a circle is 2 over 5. The half circle, 3 over 5, 3/4, 4 over 5. And the full moon, it's 5 over 5. As you can see, Mashtik has 5 over 5 in the characteristics or criteria where we are comparing the product. In addition, when you have a sector or similar competitors, for example, here, styrofoam or cardboard, you don't have to show all your competitors. You can just mention the category. Ecovative design, they have the same innovation as Mashtik, but they use different products and they are not available in the region. That's why on accessibility, which is the last criteria, you see an empty circle. That's a simple comparison of when you have many criteria and they have a range of to compare. You can use the two axes, you can use the checkbox if you don't have a range of a comparison, and if you don't have, you can use the two axes if you don't have more than 2 criteria, for example. We'll continue here, and for the components, we already mentioned many. The marketing plan. One of the main mistakes that I see entrepreneurs do, whenever we talk about the go-to-market strategy or the marketing campaign, they say social media. And I always have fun about this. I say, if you go to a doctor and you ask them, how are you doing the operation? And they tell you a scissor, you'll be afraid, or a knife, you'll be afraid. Why? Because they just mentioned the tool. They did not mention the plan, the strategy. And this is the same when you say social media. Social media is a tool, it's not a strategy. So whenever you think about your marketing plan, consider your growth strategy, consider your business development plan, and mention, for example, some partnerships that can help you reach your target audience. We already mentioned, for example, Anghami and the exclusive partnership with telecom companies. We talked about the team when we saw this pitch, and the advisors will add some credibility. If you need special functions in the team that are not present, mention that you will be hiring someone. And highlighting the team is very important because investors need to make sure that if the idea is very good, do we have the right team who will be able to implement it? You need to highlight the profile. In the pitch, you don't have to talk about the CV resume of the team, but you also, what you highlight is their experience. I'll show you other pitches also to see that. And the ask at the end. For example, here, when you saw Mashtik, he mentioned what they have done, and we call this money and milestones, what they have done from the beginning till now, how much money they have put into this project, and what they are willing to do next, and how much money they need to achieve this milestone. And this is the ask. This is the call to action. So if you would like to take a screenshot of this, you can, and you can also watch it on our YouTube channel, The Aces of Ventures. It's recorded and it's live on YouTube. I will show you another pitch where you can also see you can see the money shot where the person will be showing their invention. And you can see many things. I would also want you to think about it with two questions in mind. What can I learn from this, and how can this apply to me?
Our apples are neither in the fridge nor in the fruit basket next to the microwave. They're suffering from a disease called the apple crisis. Why? Because after being picked from trees, they're not sorted properly and have no markets to go to. Sorting machines look something like this, where the smallest, most basic machine starts at $250,000 and can reach millions of dollars. Problem is, low-margin countries such as Lebanon, parts of the MENA region and Eastern Europe are unable to invest in these expensive machines and are relying on manual sorting, which is known to be inefficient, inaccurate, and because of this, they are failing to comply with the increasing standards of demanded fruits in the market. This has led to the decrease in exports we have been witnessing, and why more than 70% of our fruits is exported only to Egypt, which does not pay well. This problem, ladies and gentlemen, is not only for apples. Pears, peaches, lemons, and oranges all suffer from the same dilemma. This is why we have created Quadra. Quadra is an optical fruit sorting machine capable of sorting for size, color, and defects, while utilizing the latest AI technology to sort at international standards, all at an affordable price. As you can see here, this is our MVP as of January 2019. Apples are being sorted under a camera, taking 25 images per apple. Next, they are deposited on cups, which tilt left or right to take apples to their destination bins. This MVP has taken the interest of 2 sorting facilities and 2 NGOs as of today. Our first line of customers are government entities and NGOs, who usually buy such machines in lump sum basis to grant them to their beneficiaries' sorting facilities. Next, we will target sorting facilities themselves and provide them with flexible buying options, where we will be the first to ever offer renting machines, making sorting machines easily accessible to anyone. And by this, sorting facilities can save 50% on costs, they can increase their productivity by 5 times, and they can increase their revenues by 3 times. Our competitors are many, but what puts us on an edge as Quadra is that we will be the first to offer easy upgrades to the machine, where a customer can either add a fruit or can increase their capacity, thanks to our unique software and modular design, which is currently patent pending. Next is our localized, fast and easy servicing, and finally, our ability to customize the machine to the specific sorting criteria needs of the local produce. We'll first start in the UMTAT region of Lebanon, valued at $66 million of money put into sorting, moving on to the $5 billion MENA region and Eastern European countries, and finally the $50 billion global market. My name is Kevin, and alongside with Serge and Christina, we're a passionate team of fully dedicated engineers that have been at it for 2 years now. We've also won several first prizes in competitions and have had our fair share of events and presentations. In 2017, we were working on our software development, and in 2018, on our market research and prototype development. In March 2019, our prototype will be fully functional in a sorting facility, and we will sell our first machine by the end of the year. Until then, we call for $50,000 to cover our operational expenses and machine design expenses. To help everyone out there, So come on down to our booth and let's sort some apples. Thank you.
What can you learn from this pitch? I can see many ideas and questions in the chat. I will be answering the questions, but before, just tell me what can you learn? I see Mr. Kasser said they use the magic number 3, and Khaldoon asking what is the magic number 3. The magic number 3, it means whenever you are speaking about anything on your slide, for example, the problem, the solution, maybe the marketing channels, maybe the revenue streams, the features, anything, just stick to 3 points, not more, because people will find it harder to remember more than 3 points. That's the magic number 3. Kiman, unfair advantage is patent pending. Yes, use easy and understandable vocabulary, and this is very important. I hope you noticed the money shot part, which is the machine, and he was showing it and how it works. You don't have to go into details, but just mentioning the very important parts of your invention. And of course, patent pending is an unfair advantage. Some of you, one person mentioned they won the Hulk prize. I can tell you, all of these entrepreneurs that you just watched, I have trained them. All of them attract investments. And the Mustic one, I remember they won many prizes and they gathered investments around $300,000, if I'm not mistaken, somehow this way. Credibility, when you mentioned the previous competitions that you've won, yes, of course. We still have 8 minutes because I start on time, I end on time. That's how I want to answer your questions. If you have any questions, please write it in the chat, and I'm ready to answer your questions for the next 7 minutes now. In addition, I went to the startup talk. I would like you to go also to the startup talk, maybe react to the videos that I just posted. You can watch these 9 pitches. They have PowerPoint slides. They are pitching on the stage. You can learn from them. You can learn how they started with their hook. For example, Mr. Coster just asked how to hook in the beginning. Many ways to hook, but don't think about the hook first. Write all the components of your pitch first on sticky notes. I use sticky notes because you can adjust them easily. And then create a storyline. Try to use any attractive information or piece of information that can drive the curiosity of your audience whenever you are starting your pitch. I see the competitors a lot. Khaldoon asking about the competitors. In this case, all the competitors do the same thing. That's why, that's another way of showing the competition. He said, of course we have competition, or we have competition. He showed the logos of their competition. And then on another slide, it can be on the same slide if you want, he mentioned how they differentiate themselves from the competition. So yes, he did mention the competition and he did mention how they differentiate themselves, but the representation was not in a 2-axis chart or a table. It was on a separate slide because that's how they differentiate themselves. What else? How to get credibility if not backed by advisors or past achievements. Your product, what you have done, can give you credibility. Moving from an idea to taking action can give you credibility. Your team and their background or experience can give you credibility. That's fine. Maybe sometimes if you are still in the idea phase, in the idea stage and very early on, maybe you don't have enough credibility. That's why you need to work on it. Having letters of intent can give you credibility. And I mentioned about letters of intent. By the way, if you missed any part of this workshop, you can go on our YouTube channel and watch the rerun. Khaldoon What's the best market size model we could use? Many ways, but we have something called the TAM-SAM-SOM. And please, whenever you go on the working on the TAM-SAM-SOM, don't say TAM-SAM-SOM. Just mention what is the TAM. For example, the global market for this industry is $100 billion. Just think about it. The SAM, which is the serviceable available market for the region, for example, it's $5 billion. And the serviceable obtainable market, which is the market that you can obtain and you can service, for example, it's in Lebanon, in this region, or in Cairo, in Egypt, for example, it's $1 billion. That's how you go trunking down, for example, from the global market to the market that you can reach. Money shot, as I mentioned, is the screenshots of your website. It can be a small video from your application. It can be a video from your product. It can be photos of your product by highlighting what differentiates it, and so on. Unfair advantage is the most important. I'm not going to say the most important, but if your product and service is an opportunity and you show it in your pitch that it is an opportunity, the unfair advantage gives you a lot of credit, because imagine that you're showing me an opportunity in the market and then you are telling me I'm making it hard for the competitors to copy me. We still have 3 minutes. If anyone has a question, you can just mention it. For the market size, I will write SAM. Just Google it and you will have enough information about it. Some people are asking me very specific questions to their idea. For example, Mr. Kasser just wrote, what makes it worth paying for an online service? I cannot discuss this if I'm talking about pitching now. Maybe tomorrow, when you show us your pitch, we can discuss it. Do you prefer storytelling at the beginning of the pitch? Okay. There is a misunderstanding about storytelling when it comes to pitching. And I've mentioned it at the beginning. When I say storytelling, it doesn't have to be having a persona and talking about it all the time. Although it's a great way, and I have used it in many pitches. But if it does not apply to your business in this way, when I say storyline or storytelling, of course, every pitch needs to be like a story. But it means connecting these ideas in a way that people will stay engaged when you're pitching. That's number one. Number two, it doesn't have bumps. So people, with every slide, it's like you're beginning again. The problem, the solution, the market size. This is full of bumps, and we just want it to be smooth. What are common red flags or mistakes in pitches? I have mentioned many today. You can watch the rerun. And tomorrow in the AMA, I will tell you about the problems, or let's say the mistakes that you have in your pitches. So tomorrow we will be on Discord. At the same time, you have the event on Discord. Join us. Those who are qualified to pitch on Wednesday, you have the priority to show us your pitches, and I will be commenting on your pitches and giving you advice. See you tomorrow.